Ladies and gentlemen, Clojure. It is a functional programming language. It's based on Lisp, and it is just a lot of fun and a lot of it's very cool to use. And you can actually create any application in Clojure. And yeah, if you want to see why you should use Clojure, then there is a cool. There's a cool documentation right here, but it's because object-oriented programming is overrated and it should not be used for all tasks. Sometimes we just want to use functional programming, especially if we are dealing with data. It's much closer to the data. It's based on Lisp, and this is on how to actually get started with it. Before I will get started, the easiest way, and that is to use spoiler alert. That is to use IntelliJ. If you want to know more about the Clojure, of course, go to clojure.org, and you can use, if you want to use the official guide on how to install the Clojure CLI, then you just follow that guide. But it's not the easiest way ahead. If you want to use the command line and just the scripting part, then I would recommend you to install Babushka over here, Babushka, and then you can use that instead. But this video is about IntelliJ and Clojure. So first of all, we need to understand what it actually does. So we have a JVM, so it runs inside the JVM, the Java Virtual Machine. So that is a cool part. And if you use the CLI, then what will happen? Or it doesn't matter if you're using the CLI. What actually happens is that when you want to run a Clojure program, it actually compiles into class files, but actually not into files on your disk. It will actually be placed as class files inside the JVM only. So it is something that disappears as soon as the JVM stops. Then your class files will also stop. So, but it converts your the Clojure files, the CLI files, the CLJ files. So we have CLJ files right here. I'll just write that right here. .clj. So you'll create some code inside CLJ files. You have that outside of the JVM. Then you have the Clojure jar file. The Clojure jar file. All of this is taken care of for you, so you don't have to think about it when you're running your program. But it's nice to know what is actually going on before you actually start using it. So you have a Clojure jar file. So this is just so you know how the magic works behind it. So here we have the Clojure jar file. But in the Clojure jar file, it eats and consumes the CLJ files, and then it will create the class files, and it will put them inside the JVM. And it will also add all the other dependencies that are needed. There is something called, instead of, we don't use Maven, we don't use Gradle when we are playing with Clojure. We can do that, of course, if you want to, but we are using something called laning instead. And that is, it is a separate build and run tool for Clojure. And yes, definitely use that, because that is what is expected from you. You can also start up a REPL. A REPL is just a terminal, stands for read, print, REPL. Read, eval, print, and load. So that is what it stands for right here. So I can start up one of these, and you need to know about something called laning. LAN, laning, like this. That is the build tool. So that is, instead of just read Maven. So just read Maven or Gradle right here. So that is, instead of using Maven and Gradle, then you use laning from now on, because it's because you're playing with, now you're in the Clojure world. Okay, so enough talk. Now we have now we know what is actually going on. It's just program that is a functional programming language that is being run inside the JVM. Let us see it in action. Let us see how to get started with it. This is IntelliJ, and let me just restore the application right here. So this is IntelliJ. Boom, boom, boom. And inside IntelliJ, we have something called plugins. You need to be careful. You cannot have too many plugins installed. And I'll just show that. Control-Alt-S for settings. And then we go to plugins. And then you just write closure, and then you will actually, unfortunately, the recommended one, Clojure Kit. If you have installed that already, then you have ruined it. Then because then you cannot install cursive afterwards, and you want the cursive one. That is the one that enables you to create a new laning. So that's what the one that gives us laning support, as we have right here. So uninstall Clojure Kit if you accidentally installed that, and that is actually also the one that would be recommended by IntelliJ if you open up a .clj file. So then it will say, I don't understand this, should I install a Clojure Kit? And then you do not say yes to that. And uninstall and use cursive instead. When you do that, then you have to get a license, and you're quite lucky if you're not using Clojure for commercial, for anything commercial, then you can actually get this license for free if you just want to create an open source project, or if you just want to play around with it just for fun, maybe on so just to have fun, then you can have that license for free. You just type in your email address and then you can install a plugin. Okay, so far so good. Then the next thing is you have to create a project. You will say new project up here. And here you will have this menu, that you will have this option, this generator named Clojure. So all of these down here, those are generators, and then you have one named Clojure. And then you get 4 options. And don't care about the last 3 options. Of course, if you want to create something, you can read about that afterwards. That's if you want to have a barebone project, but you never want to do that. You always want to have laning, so you can have your dependencies handled. So use the laning. Of course, if you want to create a module for Clojure, then you want to use the dips like this. But just per default use laning. You can actually use that for everything, and then you just press next, and then you type in the project name, and then you give it JDK, SDK, because it needs to be, it runs in a JVM, so it needs to spin up a JVM. Okay, so far so good. I just did that right here, and I have these are the files that I got. I have just added a little bit. I've just added this print line statement right here. If you want to run the file, you just right click and then you say run. You can just run any CLJ file that you want to run now. And then you see the output right here. If you don't get any output in your file, then it's because that you're actually just defining a function named foo, and nothing is actually happening inside that function. So you have to add, if you add this in as well, then you can get some output if you want to see that. Then there's another thing you can start up. You can start the REPL. That's actually what I've done right here. You can see I have a REPL in the right side. That means, again, it's a read, eval, print, and load. It's just a terminal where you can actually write your code, and then it will be evaluated right away. That means that you don't have to spin up your JVM every time. You don't have to wait for that. You can just play around and actually write some cool Clojure code. Actually, I think it is stopped, didn't it? Or is it still started? So you need to make sure that your REPL is started, and you do that by, the easiest way to do that is actually to click on the project CLI file. Let us just talk about that now, that it actually is open. So your project CLI file, that is just, instead of your POM XML file, instead of your build.gradle file, then you have a project CLI file. In here you have some settings, you have some properties. And one of the most important one is the dependencies right here. So these are the dependencies that you're using. And yes, of course, you can use Java dependencies right here. That is actually the whole point of this. You can take your cool Java dependencies if you like, your favorite utilities, and then you can add some Clojure magic on top of that. Then you have the REPL options right here. So these are the REPL options. This means that they will actually start. So this is the initial file, and that is the core. You can also see here it's a module right here. So here we have the NS for namespace. So that means that it will actually run this file per default when the application starts. So that is the entry point for your application. So these two are the most important ones, and of course, the other properties are also important. You can also bump your version right here, and you can use laning to build and create your application with, and also run the application. Okay, so to get the REPL right here, then you will just right click and run REPL for Clojure demo, and then you can start your REPL right here. And now it's actually running. It was actually already running, but you have this menu point in the right side of IntelliJ that says Clojure REPL. If you cannot find it, then you just go to Tools. So you go to the menu, then you go to Tools. Then you can find it right here, REPL, and then you will find the jump to REPL editor. Of course, you can also, if you mark some code, then you can also run your test. Yeah, actually, that's also a good purpose for leaning. That's actually you can run tests also. Clear output for the current REPL. Yes, let's do that. Another thing you will see when you have your REPL open is that first you will try to type something in, and then you will actually, if there's some output, then you might click on that output, and then you will get a message that says it is a read-only area. Now I cleared this, so it's a bit more difficult to see, but I'll just write out some code right here. So not just print it, I'm printing out this, so it means that if I'm pressing up here, and if I try to type, okay, I got into a very annoying situation. That's what I wanted to warn you about. That if I placed the cursor up here and started writing, then it said, "Hey, this is a read-only area." Yeah, but it works fine right here. So, and there we got the output. And that's actually it. So now we're up and running, and now we can actually start to play around with Clojure, and we can also we can try to create functions or whatever. We can just play around with the language in this REPL right here. There's one more thing I want to tell you. That is that if you want to see that I was not lying before when I showed you what was actually going on right here, then and this one is a bit. Let's move it right here. Then I can just show you that if you go to run configurations in IntelliJ, then you can actually, first of all, if I want to run the Clojure file right here, let us just press play, because you can actually see here in the top what is going on. So you're actually calling Java. You're calling Java, and then a lot of as usual, a lot of parameters on how to run it, and you also here you're adding we're adding that property right here with the version. And we say that we do not want to debug right now. And then there's a Java agent right here that is so IntelliJ can follow what's going on. And what was it? I'm looking for the Clojure jar file right here. So here comes a class path. So that is what is being set up for you by IntelliJ when you press the play button. I was looking for the Clojure jar. Let me just see if I can find the Clojure jar file. Yes, that is. So here we have the Clojure jar file, and this is actually what does all of the magic. This is what runs the program or CLJ file. And what it does when I say run, it actually compiles it into a class file just in memory, and then it executes it. And if you are annoyed with the long startup of the JVM and also Clojure, because we are both starting up Clojure and the JVM, then use Babaska instead. And what does that look like? Mike? If you just need to you need to install it from. There's a good guide for installing it. But and then when you are done and when you're happy, then you can just write BB, and then you can write enter, and then again you actually end up Babaska right here. And then again, you can start running your code, like print hello world, enter. Okay, I did not define X, so I'll just delete that one. I'll press enter, so then this is hello world, and it does not, this nil, that is what it returns. It did not return anything, so. Okay, so Babaska, install that if you are impatient. It's also very fast at running the file. Mike, you did not show us that. Okay. Let me just show that BB, and then we say source, Clojure demo, core client, and then it says test, hello world, test 1, 2, 3, AAA. Yes. Are there anything else? Yes, there was actually. I want to make a shout out to Gary. Thank you very much, Gary, for pointing me into this direction. It is a lot of fun to play with Clojure. It's a functional programming language, and actually, if you think a bit about it, if you're a Spring Boot fan and you're running and you're a Spring Boot fan, then actually try to think about it. We are always creating singletons, right? When we are defining our beans in the Spring context, we are actually most of the times we only have one bean. So why do we really need object-oriented the object-oriented way of actual programming? In many cases, no, but of course, in some cases, yes. We still need that. This is just an extra tool in the toolbox. It's not like it should replace anything like plain vanilla Java or something like that, or object-oriented programming languages. This is a functional programming language, and for some, especially when you're dealing with data. But I'll make another video on the language itself and where it actually makes sense, because it actually makes sense when you get close to the data. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much for all of your comments. Have a great day, and hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.